Welcome to the nightcap of our NFL divisional round here on Saturday. This is going to be a phenomenal matchup here between the Ravens and the Bills. The showdown slate is going to be extremely top heavy, and I will show you how you can use Diggs, Allen, and Lamar Jackson to fit into your lineups, even in cash games with only less than 3K remaining. So make sure you listen here. I will have my favorite values that will help you get there. So if you are new to the channel, hit subscribe, hit that like button, check out all of our great content here at Fantasy Sports Insight. I have the showdown content for the first game already posted, NHL posted, and we will have both those games and NHL covered tomorrow as well. So be on the lookout for more content here. So let's get started. We will get to the odds here first. The Bills are home favorite here, only 2.5 points, so it is expected to be fairly close. And I think, if I don't know, like Josh Allen is going to throw the ball, right? Even if they are winning, we've talked about this in many of their slates. They still kind of refuse to run the ball. Even we saw that against Indianapolis, and Indianapolis, almost came away with that win. Even though I think it was a really bad call on the fumble, I think it should have been a fumble on Pascal before it even got to that point. But we do know that the Bills are going to love to chuck it, and let's get into how we can build around this slate. So let's start with the favorite side of the ball. Josh Allen. 12,000 will be him and Lamar Jackson. I think just alone will be the two most popular plays on the slate, and rightfully so. Josh Allen has proven that he can obviously run the ball, and then has, they'll just chuck it a ton. I expect 30 to 40 throws here from Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs, 11,000, got there. He just crushed in his first playoff game with the Bills. 6 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown. He is clearly his favorite target, and we'll make sure he gets him the ball no matter what. Then we get to like Cole Beasley at 7,800, who last game, I just thought with the emergence of John Brown that it would bump down somebody like Cole Beasley, but I think his role as a slot receiver just solidifies his floor. So 7 catches for 57 yards, so he's catching less than 10 yards on every pass. But look at how efficient, 7 catches on 7 targets, because they're all short, slant, curls, things across the middle. So I think Beasley at 7,800 is a viable pivot from Diggs if you are willing to give up Diggs's upside, if you're looking for more of a balanced build and still want another piece from the passing attack for the Bills. Devin Singletary, as I mentioned before, was viable when he was super closely priced to Zach Moss, and they were way cheaper. 7,200 seems way too expensive for me. So Devin Singletary is a complete fade or GPP flyer. Then we get down to John Brown, which I think in GPP is going to just be a massive leverage spot. I think people fade him because he didn't catch any of the 4 balls thrown his way. He had a couple drops. But he was on the field like the entire game. So I don't think that this repeats. And we know that they're going to take chances down the field with him. So 5,800, he could absolutely destroy that price tag. And would be a great pivot from somebody like Cole Beasley for about 2,000 less. Then we have Gabriel Davis, who, again, I kind of thought he would be phased out a little bit more, like being the wide receiver number 4. But they ran so many 4 receiver sets that he's still on the field quite a bit. And Gabriel Davis, at 5,600, again, is super viable. I think I prefer John Brown because I do think, long-term John Brown's a better player and receiver and should get more targets than somebody like Gabriel Davis, who I think is clearly the 4th receiver. But obviously anything can happen on these slates. Dawson Knox is viable, but I love Tyler Bass at 3,600. Any team like the Bills that are rarely punting and are always getting into the red zone, kind of like I talked about the Packers this morning, that you have to really consider guys like that who are always going to be put into positive positions for them to score. Isaiah McKenzie did not really I don't think he even saw a target or saw the field much at all in the first playoff game, and I would expect that to kind of continue. The Bills defense, I don't really like playing defenses at all. I mean, look at that. They give up 24 points against Indianapolis, and they scored nothing. So, I mean, I think you just need so many things to go in your favor. Now, can they easily get 4 to 5 points here? Yes, but remember, Lamar Jackson doesn't just concede sacks. He's the one that's running around everywhere. So it's harder. And Rivers is also somebody that's pretty good at avoiding sacks. He just gets rid of the ball. Unlike if we had like Kirk Cousins back there, So Bills defense is probably a pass for me unless you absolutely need them, which you may. TJ Yeldon, I don't think saw the field. No, he didn't even see the field at all against. But it did say here he will work as Devin Singletary's backup. So because I think Zach Moss is out. Yeah, Zach Moss is out. So TJ Yeldon actually I think is really viable and probably somebody that I'll use in as my value to get to the 3 studs if I want them. Andre Antonio Williams. So he will be on the active roster, but I still think we see more of TJ Yeldon, and especially somebody who can catch the ball like third downs. I'd love to see him out there catching a couple balls. So let's get to the Baltimore side. Lamar Jackson, I don't really need to spend much time on him. Plug him, play him, put him in the captain if you want. Him or Allen is likely going to be the most popular captain options with the highest floor plus the highest ceiling. So love both of them. Malcolm Hollywood Brown has just resurged, and it's been since like week 11. He's just been insane. And they are, if you watch them on offense, they are purposely designing plays to get the ball in his hands. And that's what you like to see. I don't like it when Lamar Jackson is just dependent on, hopefully finding him down the field. That's not, I like to see the designed jet sweeps, the designed tunnel screens, the designed slants or drags across the field to get him in space to run. So I really like Malcolm Brown, and I think you could actually consider him over Diggs if you need the savings of about $1,400. Now, I think Diggs in a vacuum is a better play because the Bills are just more reliant on the pass. But I think Malcolm Brown is definitely viable at 9,600. J.K. Dobbins at 8,600. As I always have said, he continues to get on the score on the board with a touchdown, which I think his touchdown equity is super high. But if you're going to pay 8,600 for somebody with 9, 10, at most 15 carries, and he doesn't get the touchdown, then you're really reeling and wishing you didn't play somebody like him. Then you could look at somebody like Mark Andrews at 8,000, who also is too cheap. Definitely probably, again, needs a touchdown. I prefer Hollywood Brown over him if I can get there, if I'm considering a receiving option here for Baltimore. Willie Snead, 4K, really cheap. Only had 2 targets last game, caught both of them, but definitely more upside than, maybe a kicker if he scores a touchdown. Justin Tucker, I think, will be extremely popular at 3,800 and definitely viable on this slate. The other person I think is going to be chalky is Gus Edwards. Last week, I think he was 4,600. He didn't get in the end zone, but they are giving him regular touches. So I think you can use somebody like Gus Edwards. Now, his upside might be limited if he doesn't get in the end zone, similar to somebody like Dobbins, but he had 1 less carry than Dobbins. He just didn't score a touchdown. Dobbins had, I think, a couple more catches, but Edwards can catch the ball too. So I don't think the return of Melvin Ingram is really going to matter. It even looks here, Ingram is on track to be a healthy scratch for Saturday night's game. So we're not even really have to worry about him being out there. So Gus Edwards at 2,600 is a great value. Tucker, Gus Edwards, Richard, I wouldn't recommend really, but I think he's viable. He caught 3 balls out of the backfield playing fullback, which is kind of crazy. I don't expect that to repeat, but somebody who's alive and playing. Des Bryant had 1 target at 600. Duvernay, I know, was still returning kicks, I think, but yeah, he didn't do much, didn't even really play at all. So let's get into the actual builds, because I think people, and myself included, when I opened up this slate, I said, how can I fit these top 3 in? And is that the optimal way to go? So I'm going to first start with Lamar Jackson. Let's just say we go the top 3. We're at 2,900 left per player. I think using somebody like TJ Yeldon is going to be popular, and I think it's going to be super viable. And then you can definitely get in somebody like Bass and Tucker. You could go Gus Edwards and then get up to Dawson Knox or Snead. So I think there's a lot of paths using that kind of build to get there. If you fade Diggs and say you go Lamar Jackson, Allen, and Malcolm Brown, then you're looking at being able to get somebody. Oh, sorry, let me get Lamar Jackson in the captain role. I'm using him and capped him in this type of build because I want him to correlate with Malcolm Brown. Then maybe you use somebody like John Brown, and then you can go back to TJ Yeldon and then finish out with somebody like Gus Edwards. So there's a lot of paths to easily use the top three studs, but you can also go more balanced. I think my favorite values are the kickers, Gus Edwards and TJ Yeldon. My three favorite studs are pretty clear: Jackson, Allen, and Diggs. And my fade is likely going to be Singletary. I don't really see myself landing on Andrews or Dobbins either. I think Dobbins I prefer more than Andrews, but I would rather than just get up to Malcolm Brown or stay at Diggs. So thanks again for listening, guys. Again, if you can just give a like, throw a comment in the chat. If you have a question about the slate, I will answer it. So throw your question in the slate, and I will make sure to answer that. Otherwise, check out all of our other great content, and we will have 2 showdown slates ready for you tomorrow as well. See you later.